show. So go to ImpressiveJewels.net today. Get your little something. You deserve it. This week's episode is sponsored by Dollhouse of Tampa Salon and Studio, where the inner doll is created. Styling services they offer are sew-ins, quick weaves, relaxers, facial waxing, eyelash extensions, and much, much more. It's time for you to find your inner doll. Contact Selena today, serving the Tampa Bay and surrounding areas of Florida. And make sure you follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
This is thy kingdom come. Let the spirit of the Holy One pass over. Let your peace cover the earth. Lord, let your will be done. This is the time to take a stand, to let the world know that you can. You can face tomorrow, but today is the day that you say, I will reign.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I am Vanessa Klinger, your intuitive life strategist and life coach motivator. Welcome to Spiritually Speaking. We have a great night planned for you guys. We have our special guest, August Crenshaw. I lovingly call her August with an E Crenshaw. She is a business sales coach who is hosting a summit the first week of December. So she'll be coming in shortly. So just let's get right through the promos and ads and all of that so we can get right into it, okay? So you guys know that if you want to take advantage of all the products and services that I offer, you can go to www.vanessaklinger.com. I give away free books every month. So if you want a free book, I'm offering sponsorship discounts for all of the new viewers who are interested in promoting their product, service, or event. Go out to www.vanessaklinger.com and take advantage today. 2021 is, I say it's here. It is already here. So you want to take advantage of what we have to offer there. Also tonight, we're going to be recapping the Genesis highlights because you know that the great Michelle Massey Washington and myself she's been covering Genesis highlights. So after August, we're going to just jump right in and do the recaps for what we have spoke about and spoke on since we started back in October. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Michelle Massey Washington, the great Michelle Massey Washington, our spiritual subject matter expert. Hello, my love. Hello. How are you?
Namaste. I bow to the divine presence in you on this soulful Sunday.
Soulful Sunday. I'm getting goosebumps already. I feel like it's going to be just an exciting night with what we're going to be covering and what August is going to be sharing with us. I'm just so excited about it. Guys, because we have our special guest, we wanted to give August as much time as we could for her to just really speak to this wonderful summit that's going to be rolling out the first week of December. So we're going to recap Genesis. But you know, the great Michelle Massey Washington, I'm telling you right now, go ahead and get your scuba gear right now. We're going to run one more ad. We'll bring August in. So go ahead. You got a few seconds to go get your scuba gear because when Michelle takes us in, we're getting ready to go deep with these recaps. So, girl, we're going to run this one ad, and then we are going to bring August with an E Crenshaw in.
It's difficult to identify trauma when holding it down is a way of life. Join over 30 speakers as we share our stories and tools to triumph. The No More Trauma Summit is an online free experience. Register today.
All right, everyone. Look who we have here. I call her August with an E Crenshaw. She is a business coach specializing in strategy, mindset, and sales. And one of her little mottos that she has is it's time for things to be done differently. And just to let you guys know, she's hosting a summit December the 6th,
7th,
7th.
18th.
So this is, over 30 guests. So August, tell us a little bit about everything. You have the floor, my dear. So tell us a little about yourself and the summit that's coming
Well,
up.
first of all, thank you, ladies, for having me here. I'm very, very excited. And I'm a fan of yours ever since day one when I saw you riding along. I'm like, who is this woman in my feed? But I loved your rawness and your authenticity. And so, for the people that don't know me and haven't seen us together collectively, like she said, I'm a business and sales coach. But more importantly to me, I just love for people to know who I am, period. I'm a very raw and authentic, outspoken woman. I believe that everything that I do should speak to the essence of who I am. So I'm courageous and I'm bold and I'm creative, which is why I wear head wraps and colored hair or whatever it is that I do. And the reason why I always lead with that is because I had to learn that I needed to be confident and comfortable with who I am. And so for me, life growing up, I grew up with a voice. Some of us have our gifts as a young child and we know exactly what those gifts are, but without those gifts being policed, I was considered a little bit outspoken. And so life beat me up a little bit. I was told to be quiet. You talk too much, you do too much of that. And growing up, I tried to do things the right way, right? Go to school, get an education, get a job, be responsible. But somewhere along the journey, creativity would always come from me. And so I had to deal with a lot of hurt. I had to deal with a lot of pain when I started deciding I wanted to go up a level. And being a coach online is where I really began to butt heads with what I'll call my demons, so my issues that I had. And so, yeah, I'm hosting a summit called the No More Trauma Summit, but I always want people to know that the summit was birthed because of my own personal experience and the people around me. So if you're watching this and you are a business owner, if you're watching this and you're a person who wants to start a nonprofit or finds yourself wanting to do something extraordinary as far as serving and volunteering, when it comes to doing that kind of work, we have to be aware of our issues. Now, I'm being friendly and I'm calling them issues because we usually are not trying to call the stuff that we're dealing with trauma. And so those issues, they will come up, they'll cause all kinds of triggers. And I had to learn really fast that I couldn't serve unless I dealt with my ish. And so not only that, I had to realize that as I dealt with everything I had going on, all of these women that I was coaching, no matter how great the methodologies were that I was giving to them, if they weren't executing, then I had to get to the root of that. And bottom line is they started telling me, my mom is on my page and she's always told me I'm stupid. My ex-husband still follows me and it was an abusive situation. And so it's the stuff that we think we can suppress, push down, push back, push away that usually inhibits us from being our full self. And so that's why I started the summit. But I also know that things need to be done differently because you know what? Online, especially now too, because of COVID, everybody and their mama hasn't even been online. But this is something that I've been doing for several years now. And it's not just the fact that it's a summit with a melanated vibe, with a melanated twist, and with a huge human element to it. You're not coming to an event where you're just going to sit and watch a bunch of recordings. There's going to be a lot of interaction. And I do a lot of extra things to make sure that it's an experience where you can experience transformation, even if you don't decide to work with one of the coaches that are there. The way that it's set up, there's going to be some epiphanies and there'll be some things that are changed with you. So this is something that is really important to me. Like you said, it's December the 17th through the 18th. There are a total of 35 of us. And, the last thing I'll say is this, and then I'll let you know we can kind of go back and forward, is that everybody there wasn't molested for 14 years. They weren't raped, or they didn't have a multiple black eyes from an ex-husband. One woman developed an excessive sense of shyness from moving around so much and not ever really feeling rooted. And then growing up in an era when there was still racial discrimination. Another woman gained once again, an over-exercised spirit of self-reliance from being a latchkey kid and having to always be the one to take care of things. And so when it comes to trauma, that's why I said issues before, we don't really even know what trauma is. And a lot of the stuff that we went through, we be like, you don't even see that it has something to do with the woman that you've become today. So yeah, some of the women were raised by parents who were not diagnosed as mentally, disabled. Some of the people were molested or raped. One of them is in the military and suffered with PTSD, but all of the stories are not traumatic in the sense that it's the catastrophic version. But my saying is struggle is struggle, and it knows where to hit you to hurt you. The only thing that matters is if you're living a life where you're not 100% authentically yourself, if you don't feel comfortable standing in your power, if you find yourself holding something back for the benefit of someone else, especially others that have hurt you, then you are dealing with trauma. You are dealing with an altered sense of self and an altered sense of others. And it's time for us to come up out of that if we're going to be able to operate and execute our powers, because we can't operate with the power of God, grace, mercy, love, and compassion if the last person that gets that grace, love, mercy, and compassion is ourselves.
Agreed. Have you discovered working with your clients that and the reason why it really just motivated you to begin addressing and going to the root cause of their ish was the fact that you uncovered and made this discovery that although they were standing up all of these great ideas and business models, that you found that there was this thread where they would destroy it, that it was bleeding into. And did you discover that? Because I know, speaking for me, I know it took so many years for me to address and deal with my ish, because I would go to a job, great jobs. I've always had great jobs. Go in there and just throw up all over it and just self-destroy it. I was self-destructed. I mean, I would self-sabotage these great opportunities that I was attracting, and through God's grace and favor, and I would just self-sabotage and then try to blame them for my ish. Did you discover that working with your clients?
Well, to be honest with you, I had several discoveries working specifically with my clients, but what pushed me over the edge to do this event in particular, here it is. I'm doing the mindset work with my clients, but at that season in my business, it was probably like 4 1-to-1, maybe 4 or 5 in a group coaching program. I hadn't really evolved that far, but because I'm so intimately involved, they were having issues. But, I do 2 summits. One is business mastery. And so that's the first one that I started off with. Ooh, I'm a coach, so let me put this summit together where people learn everything they need to know about copy and sales and websites and all of this stuff. And the way that I mapped it out, it was like, here's the blueprint. And then I did this crazy, insane thing, and I created a workbook to go with it. And so being that I'm intimately involved with my community, I'm like, why they not executing? Now, me, I'm the kind of person that I'm going to ask questions. And luckily, they're very open and vulnerable with me. And they would begin to tell me the things that I said before, the kind of examples. And so speaking to several women, I'm like, dang, man. I mean, I knew it was an issue, but I didn't necessarily know it was that big of an issue. And I was like, this is something that's too big for me to tackle by myself. And I literally had an epiphany, and in 60 days, after the last summit ended, I launched the next summit. And then I found all of these women, and basically we were like, we're not suffering in silence anymore. And that has been at the core of the way that I work with my clients. So a lot of times they don't even get business strategy. They're like, okay, you need to know this. This is, the jargon. This is a funnel. This is an opt-in. This is a sales trade. But it's like, but what's going on with you? And so usually when you declog the emotional, spiritual, issues, what ends up happening is that the creativity can explode. And then I don't have to do as much leading and guiding. If anything, it's helping them to understand how to take the creativity that they have and put it inside of a business model where they can still make money. But when the people have the blocks, as a coach, it almost feels more like, okay, well, you could do this. Have you thought about doing this? You feel like you're trying to edge people on to that place of creativity, but that's because they are blocking their zone of genius. They're blocking their God genius because, you know, you're not forgiving. You're harboring pain. You're harboring hurt, and it's hard to function that way. So it was my clients, and it was just women that I was connected to who were really willing to have some very vulnerable conversations with me and felt guilty because yeah, they had these great ideas, these wonderful things that they wanted to do, and they were not just great ideas, they were profitable ideas if structured correctly, and they weren't moving on them. And so that guilt caused them to speak to me and talk to me about it. And busting through those issues, I watched so many women transform and
Mhm.
change what was happening, not just in their business, but also even in their life.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
August, can you like define trauma? We say the word, but not everyone knows the true definition of what trauma is.
Well, one of the things I say is this: is I like to use one of my speakers' definition of trauma, and she said it's when something happens when it's too much, too fast, and too soon. In order for you to be able to internalize and process and then appropriately respond. But for me, when I define trauma, it's anything that has happened to you, regardless of your age, that has altered your sense of observation of self and your sense of observation with each other and how you all collectively work. So when something has inhibited you from not feeling free to be who you are, that gives you an obscure view of other individuals and what's possible, then 9 times out of 10, that is where you have something that is rooted in trauma, which is why I gave the example, for instance, with the young lady who was a latchkey kid. In her mind, she can't free herself to let her husband serve her and to help be a provider for her because she has an over excessive need to be self-reliant, because not having her mother in her life, leaving her at home after school all night long cooking, that is traumatic. So her fear and her view on life from having to be alone, most people wouldn't think, oh, that's not trauma, but it's something that happened. And unfortunately, most of our traumas do happen in our younger years. Don't get me wrong, Hurricane Katrina, being raped or molested later on, those things can happen too. But it's those, and I know I'm going a little bit further past what you asked me, but it's the little things that most people don't pay attention to, that those are equally traumatic. Feeling less than, being spoken down on. Maybe it's because you're the creative in the family and they don't want you to be an entrepreneur, and they're telling you you're stupid because you won't go to school and get the degree you want. These are things that are altering your confidence and your sense of self and your state of being. So when that goes out the door and you're constantly having this war with being you, then the root of that is trauma, whatever caused you not to appreciate yourself.
That hit right to my heart. That hit right to my heart because I am a creative, and for many years I had to deal with all of that you just spoke about. I had to deal with all of that, and for so many years I struggled because I was denying my authenticity to rule and reign in my life, and because I felt less than, because of what was spoken to me and how it fed my soul as a young child. So, guys, go out to the website. This is you're offering the tickets, but you haven't said anything about the cost. What's the cost, August?
The initial admittance is actually free this time around. So you get to come in for free.
Wow.
And just so the people know, this is not a sales and gimmick. Usually my stuff is fee-based up front. I felt led not to have this one be fee-based. But it does mean that you have limited time access. So it's one of those things where, now I'm not saying that this is what God said to me, but this is what I derive from it. The conversations that we're about to have are highly sensitive, and I don't care what it was, whether it was the rape or the latchkey. If it hurts you, or it's making you feel a little bit too vulnerable just to even be in the room with the conversation, I don't want there to be any inhibitors. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, I don't even know if I want to pay for this because, this is some really touchy stuff. And people are always saying they want to empower women. And then you get on the other side and it's fluff and bull. No, you're going to come in, and I don't care which day you come in. I don't care which interview you watch. You're going to see immediately a high level of transparency. You're going to see a high level of constructive advice, not necessarily telling you all specifically what to do with your trauma, but you're going to hear the stories of not just what they've been through, but how they came out of. And from there, you can make the decision and say, I don't want to lose the opportunity to truly dig into these interviews. And then also get the workbook that goes with them that breaks down the interviews and gives you a series of questions so that you're not allowing the videos to become entertainment. I don't want somebody to know that when you were young, your mother was calling you stupid all the time. And then you had a cousin that decided that he wanted to take advantage of you, for people to be like, oh my God, and Vanessa's just so strong. I didn't know she went. That's not what I want. So the principles, the thread, whatever the common thread is through every interview, that's what's discussed in the workbook, to say, okay, she felt violated. Even if you have not been molested, what personal violations have you experienced on it? So things like that are done so that it takes the interview off of you and puts it onto the individual. When you see that, then you can make the investment of $47 to retain the replays, to get the workbook, to do the mindset masterclass. But since it's so sensitive, and we know we're going to give you the space to come in and let us give to you first, even though I know my reputation precedes myself, but you come in the room, you make sure you feel comfortable. And then if you decide to tiptoe out, it's okay. But if you decide to stay, we got you. So no fee up front.
That is fantastic. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, so you have no excuse, because what I'm hearing is that this is a summit that's going to help you address those issues. They're going to focus on the solution and not the problem itself. They're going to give you a space where you can come in and feel, the energy that's being transferred from them, and really identify what resonates with you. And if it does, then you can make the investment in your healing. It's November 2020. It's 2021 is right here. We're in the fourth quarter. And, if you want to finish strong, I highly encourage you to go out to www.augustcrenshaw.com and at least get a space so that you can take that next step into healing and dealing with your trauma for good and for sure. My love, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, I was getting goosebumps, and I was listening. And you guys know Hot Dog. He runs my world. Okay, so he gets to barking, and I got to see what's going on. But I want to thank you so much for just coming in and stopping by to share with us No More Trauma. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she'll be back. She'll be back a few days before, just in case. You have to save up your little coins. You'll have time, because she'll be coming back before the summit launches off the Sunday before, so that you can get another taste of August Crenshaw. My love, thank you so much. And I'll see you Sunday. Is it the 6th? I think it's the 6th of December, the day before the summit. So you'll stop by and give us some more nuggets of your wonderful wisdom. Thank you so much for stopping by, my love. And we'll see you December 6th. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, Michelle, wasn't that amazing? Wasn't it?
That's awesome. I think we need to take advantage. I mean, money is usually the issue, but it's free, and we need to take advantage of those people who are willing to invest into our healing.
Right.
And I don't see why you wouldn't go. I don't see why you wouldn't sign up. It's just free.
At least go in and check it out.
Right.
Go in and check it. I know I am. I'm going and check it out and look around. And What a generous soul she is. I am just so glad I have met August and know her. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see the banner. Go out to www.augustcrenshaw.com and at least get your space to take advantage of this wonderful summit where you're finally going to deal with your trauma for good and for sure. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be coming back to discuss Genesis highlights. So we'll be back in just a few moments. So let me find it. Stay tuned. This week's episode is sponsored by Organic Sunscreen Moisturizer, Sheer Perfection Moisturizer that can only be found on perfectiondayspa.com. Contact Delia today. All right. We are back, my love. So if you guys are just coming in, we have been speaking to Genesis highlights, and we have covered the beginning as far as, I'll let Michelle do it because she's a subject matter expert. Let me shut up and just take it away, Dr. Washington.
We have, we wanted to enter Genesis because it's the genes, it's the beginning. It's how we started out. And usually how you start out is how you're going to end. So we kind of went over a lot of things. We went over, like, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. We looked at the heaven and earth as being your spiritualness and your earthliness. And it's the consciousness of how we are operating. Everything in the Bible is a collection of thoughts of what people's level of consciousness is, how far they are choosing to go deep into God. You can't get more of God, but you can go in as he reveals himself to you. He originally, when I was in Alabama and I decided to move back here, he said, the moment that you touch Georgia ground, I'm going to begin to open doors. And so the doors that I thought he was going to open was ministry, being on different summits or speaking or ministering at different churches. But the doors were, he was opening doors to him, the revelation of him. So there's always, when you think you got it, there's something else that God opens up to you. But you have to be conscious. You have to rely on the tree of life. And we established that the tree of life is just living your authentic self of who you are, not duplicating what somebody else has called you to be or said you should be or entitled you to be. But we've got to open ourselves up to the newness of who we are and not be afraid to express it. And like she's saying, the trauma, when she was talking about the trauma, I recognize that being in the church all my life, I was traumatized because I thought I had to be like this. I had to do this. You know, I had to duplicate everything that was being done. And to me, that was trauma until I came to myself and allowed God to open those doors. So we can't be afraid to enter in Genesis and look at it on a different way. We looked at heaven and earth like your mentality, your spiritualness, your Christ-mindedness. And so as we enter into our Christ-mindedness, we begin to see things we've never seen. Now, 2020 has shown some stuff. It's either drawn you closer to God or drove you away from God. I mean,
either you don't pick yourself up or you don't let yourself completely go.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in the middle, Michelle, because I'm telling you, being quarantined, you know, you can only do so much. And I was like, I'm working a lot, things been picking up and, been really just, going 100 and, but you know what? These are good problems. I consider them. And now that I'm in this space, I know now that I can focus on finally getting this weight off, girl, because I'm telling you, I've been eating. Okay. So, besides that, as far as other people, you say, you've either gone, and I've grown closer. I really feel in my heart and know I've gotten closer to spirit and, and to my creator and everything. So you're right. You either have gone completely left field or you've just drawn near to him more than ever?
And it is the season of more, having more than enough. So it's the season of too much. You look at it on the basis that you have too much, or are you looking at a basis or this is too much? But it is the season.
Girl. Too much, but you know what? I'm happy. So, this
Yeah.
happy weight. Just happy weight. So go on, girl. Let me stop. Go on.
So as we've looked at 2020 as the visionary year, it has been the year of hindsight, us seeing some things from a different perspective. We talked about this is the new heaven and new earth. This is no more as normal or as usual. What we thought was normal was never normal. We were conditioned to think that the way things are, that's how they're supposed to be. But as we begin to open up to our consciousness, our subconsciousness, and allowing ourselves to be creative, regardless of what we have gone through, regardless of what we've had to deal with, we are still here. This is November. And if you're still here, now I'm feeling a little peaked, but I'm still here. And it's been a challenge because until I allow myself to open up to God, and God will open up to me. But some of the ways that we've been doing things have kind of closed us down and shut us down. And we've got to realize that we've got to go in so we don't go without. So not working, I'm getting plenty of practice with the tree of life. I'm having to totally trust myself to trust God. Not knowing what income is going to come in, but knowing what has to go out. But I recognize that God's supply is greater than the demand. So it's like,
Wait a minute. Say that again, doctor, so I can get that in the quotes. Say that again, dear.
God's supply is greater than your demand. So when I say that, I'm saying that there's nothing that you feel you need that he has not already supplied. But if we don't stop looking at what we're saying we need and start looking at, well, his supply is sufficient, it takes a lot of stress off of you. It takes you out of this mode of feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I got 2 kids and I cannot put energy into saying, I don't know how we're going to make it. So if his supply is greater than I demand it to be, then I have to stand still and see the salvation. So what I was doing before all of this happened, I was going to work, and then I was coming home and I was tired, and then I was taking the kids here, and then I was doing this and I was doing that. And the time was limited that I spent with God. So now all of that has been reversed, because now all I have time to do is spend with him. And so when we walk through Genesis, it takes us back to the closeness. Then you can stop saying, when God said to Adam, who told you were naked? Who are you listening to? Where did you get those vibes from? We got to look at those things in Genesis, and we got to say to ourselves, I've got to stop listening to outside interference and start going into my heart and hear what God is saying to me. So Genesis takes us back to the closeness of being with God, of walking with God.
Time.
Yeah.
Time. Because, when you were talking about that, I was like, a couple things. But you were saying that, because you said that, God spoke to you and told you that when you step foot on the ground, where was it, North Carolina? Where you at? What was it at?
Georgia.
In Georgia, that he was going to open doors for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while you were talking about that, see, in order for he's got to open up the doors, because as above, it's got to happen inwardly before it happens externally. So he began to open these doors, these spiritual doors of enlightenment and revelation to you inwardly, but you needed a space for that. So now that's what's happening for you right now. because what
Right.
it's doing is preparing you, prepared, made to fit. It's making you fit into these external doors that's going to happen for you in 2021. Make no mistake. Get ready, because it's going to happen for you, because you have been obedient to go within, right? And see, because you trusted God completely, because when he told you, Michelle, okay, I need you to shut it down and come in and spend some time with me. You know, walked and did what you did to do out of obedience and trust. So now that this is happening, now it's preparing you for those external doors that's gonna. So, you said, well, I thought this was gonna happen, this was gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna happen, but there is an order. There is an order to how God operates. What do you call it? The what operated divine? What do you call it? What do you call it?
Oh, generator operated divine.
Yeah, there's an order to how he operates. So you got to operate and deal with, get you prepared, made ready for the external promises, right? So his promises are yes and amen. That yes is when you say yes, then he comes into agreement with you to manifest all that stuff that's going to happen externally. Let me calm down. Get back to it, my love. I just had to share that with you. God's supply is greater than your demand. Woo!
And when every time I say that, when he said that to me, it's like I get chills. And I don't think I've trusted God, but I don't think I've ever trusted him on this dimension. And so what I like to provide for people are tools to open yourself up for the new, for the unknown. We get so stagnated by doing things over and over and over. And then we wonder why we're not getting anywhere different, because we're doing the same things over and over. So the journey through Genesis is showing us that the power of your mind, the power of your thoughts, the power of your attention, you must pay attention. We're not paying attention. We're being distracted by outside forces. And it's causing us to miss the very thing that God has set up for us to get. He's taking us back to the garden. He's taking us back to the tree of life. The tree of life has so much manifestation in it that you can't be without. It's like the prosperity of his wisdom. And as we look at Genesis, and we've gone through Adam and Eve, we talked about Adam being the left side of the brain and Eve being the right side of the brain, the intellect on the left side, the intuition on the right side, and it coming together as being one. And so that was really the marriage. It wasn't necessarily a man and a woman coming together, but God was getting your mindset together. Like August was talking about, she specialized in a mindset. Once you get your mindset, once that comes together as one, that's when the marriage begins. That's when you shut out everything else. That's when you begin to hear what the Spirit is saying. So it's more than just a tree. It's you. We also looked at the tree of life as like the cross. So Adam was dealing with one tree. Jesus died on another tree to restore back what Adam had sold off. So it's all a manifestation of the full picture of where God is taking us. I don't know what you believe, and I don't know who you believe, but after this year, if you don't believe God, it's something going wrong.
You might as well turn in your lunchbox.
Yes.
and go sit in your room somewhere and say, you know what, I'm just gonna be spiritually dumb till it's over. Because you have to. You had to. I feel so blessed that I actually saw the opportunity and what God was doing. You know, I really believe and know in my heart that all throughout the Bible, it speaks about it. Whenever there was something phenomenal happened and tragic and all this stuff, there was always a prophet who knew what was coming. It was always, God never leaves you in darkness. He never leaves you in frustration. He never leaves you in confusion. He always has someone, an oracle, who's gonna impart to you what exactly is going on and what you need to do. Always has been. Always has been.
And so
Woo!
he's kind of focused on hearing. He's focused on us getting back to a relationship with him. Genesis is focusing on hearing who you're listening to, knowing the truth. He reveals the truth. He's talked about Cain. We talked about Cain and Abel. We was talking about one is Cain and one was Abel. That was the revelation. that was that was a great revelation that Vanessa gave, because I never thought about it. The Cain
Yeah.
and the Abel. And so we sell our brothers and sisters out. There is no competition. You are your greatest competition. But we have been trained and taught that we're supposed to compete. But when you find your authentic self, when your authentic self is birthed, and you know that there is no competition.
No.
You are an original. The only thing that somebody can come close to you being is a cheap copy. And that's why I tell my kids, I don't want you to have a role model. I want you to make a role for your model. I want you to find who you are, because if you're trying to role model after Mike, then you don't know what Mike went through to get to be where he is. And so you're not going to go down that same road. But I want them to create a role model within themselves that they can follow, so that there's no competition, there's no jealousy, there's no anger. If everybody stays in their own lane, if everybody operates out of their authentic self, they can recognize that there's nobody to compete with. You compete with yourself. You can only get better within yourself. And so we're operating out of the gene of coming from a God. And I'd like to say that we're in his image and we're walking in his imagination, which is unlimited. And then the scripture says, Jesus said, I found it not robbery to be equal with God. Now, we have a hard time with calling ourselves equal with God, because we're seeing ourselves from an outside point of view instead of an inner point of view. So Genesis is taking us back so that we can return back to our original seed, our original state, our original being. See, the government tried to make us forget that we forgot who we were. I always say they govern your mental. And how they govern your mental is with fear. Everything in this world is based on fear. If you don't do this, if you don't pay your rent, they're going to evict you. If you don't pay your car note, everything is based on fear. And when it says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind, then we must know it's coming from some other avenue. And
right.
So,
and that sound mind, when you were talking about that sound mind, I was reminded of that scripture set up when they were talking about how Jesus, they were describing the Savior, how the government would be up on his shoulders. See, for so many years it was misinterpreted, but that was because Jesus was walking in a sound mind. He was governing his own mentality, right? Because he knew that I and my Father are one. And when we finally adopt that way of thinking, then we too can have the government, where the government will be on our shoulders. That's your head. That's your girl. I'm so glad I know you, because ever since you and I connected, I've been getting all this great revelation. I just be feasting. I be feasting like a little mouse in the corner, just taking your little just from you. I just love it. Go ahead, girl.
You missed. So it's moving. This is the era. 20 times 20 is 400. 400 years we're being delivered from slavery. That means we're coming out with great substance. Now, your substance is going to be your mentality, your spirituality, how you handle things, how you become the greatest version of you, your creativity. That's some great substance. And the one thing you must do is take total responsibility of your greatness. So a lot of us don't see ourselves as great. We want other people to like and like and like, but we don't see ourselves as that. And that way we're measuring ourselves by other people like. And when we see that we are royal priesthood, that we are kings and queens, that we're operating in the kingdom, that everything is available to us as we see it. He said in Genesis, he said, the land that you see, I will give you. So what are we seeing for ourselves? You know, the land could be anything. He said, the land you see, that's what I'll give you. And so we're not taking responsibility that we have all these promises, that we have all this power, that we have all this anointing, and we're just falling into this little ball. That's how they want to shape us now, control us. As long as they can control us, they can keep their hands on us. But when you
Right.
totally break out to your authentic self, nothing by any means, nothing will be able
Nothing.
to withhold you. Nothing.
And
I
see,
see
ladies
you
and
rocking.
gentlemen, yep, girl, yep, I'm flowing. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, the thing is that this was the year that you were to go back to the basics, go back to the beginning, to
Yes.
connect with God, to expand your consciousness, to really
Yes.
allow the revelation to occur in your soul to prepare you for the great substance. See, for 400 years, I'm talking about the children of Israel. 400 years, you know, they was saying it took a catastrophic event to wake them up, to let them know that they were going into something greater. It took a prophet, somebody to enlighten them and tell them, look, it's time for us to go. We got to get up out of here. And for some, majority of them, they had to have a Pharaoh scare them the hell out of town, and they was running. Girl, you know I'm telling the truth. Don't let something get you where you're running. Get yourself ready. It's November. We're in the fourth quarter of 2020. It is not too late for you to finish strong. Get yourself together. Go into your closet or wherever you need to go. Set up your little corner and get tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. Say, okay, God, I'm ready. Nothing. No more distractions, God. You know, I'm ready. And not allow whatever externally is going to be happening to dissuade you, because make no mistake, he has to prepare you. So allow the preparation process to occur for you inwardly, because early on, I was reminded of this scripture, and I'm gonna put it up here, and it's, where is it at? I had it somewhere. There it is. 3 John 1 and 2. Beloved, I wish above all that thou mayest prosper and be in health. I broke it off there. Even as it only gave me so much space. Even as thy soul prospers. See, your soul got to get right. You got to deal with those issues. You got to address those traumas. You got to get all that right, to align with those promises, to align with that great substance. You got to get prepared for that. So take advantage of this time of solitude, of this isolation, because let me tell y'all something. He will never leave you nor forsake you. You're not going to be on the side of the road or thrown away or nothing. He said just for a little while. Just a little while. And I'm telling you, when you cross over into your great substance, you'll be thinking about that. You'll be going, man, that wasn't no time. There wasn't no time I went through that. You know, he'll make up for it. He will make up for it. Make no mistake, y'all. Make no mistake. Go on, girl. We got a few more minutes. Woo!
And so as we are making this journey and we're going into the land of milk and honey, yes, there are giants, but the giants are coming down. I've been saying that all this year because God is putting up his people. So giants everywhere are falling down, in the church, in the politics, everywhere, music, everywhere. The giants are coming down. And so we are ascending to greatness. We've been the last for a long time. We're coming to the front. We are coming and ascending to the place that we're supposed to be maintaining. But we have to take responsibility that being equal with God is a lot of responsibility. And the reason we don't want to accept that, because we're so used to saying, I'm just dependent on God. God doesn't want us to depend on him. He wants us to be independent in him. And so when you're saying you're dependent on him, that means you're not doing what you need to be doing. So he never set us up to be dependent on him. He set us up to be independent in him so that we can create our purpose-driven lives and what we're destined for. We're so busy repeating. That's why I say every day, create. We are created by the Creator, be creative. So start creating your creations and stop duplicating. We're so lazy that it's easier for us to duplicate. It's easy for us to focus on the problem. But the moment that you have a solution, the problem is gone. So as we're going back to Genesis, he's taking us back to the closeness. It's not connection, it's join. He's joining us back to that place before we was in the matrix, before we was in the mother's womb. He's joining us to our consciousness of knowing who we are and where we're going. Now you only have 40-something days left, maybe less than that. Because once we hit 21, you're not going to have, you can't be like those virgins that didn't have their all. And then when it was time for it to be used, you want to get my all. You got to put the time in. 5 wise, 5 foolish. This is the time to get your oil, because there are going to be some governmental changes that are going to be made. And you're going to be like, what? They're doing it like that. But if you have your oil, your light is going to shine so that you can know. Many people think that the United States and America are the same thing. The United States of America is a corporation. God left us the land of America. We've got to get our stuff back. And because the 400 years, it's a whole lot of stuff that's going to be revealed. And you're going to be like, wow, God, you did that. You did that. So you got to get your oil. You got to, these last 40 some days, 39 some days, it's not too late to get your oil. Once you get your oil, your revelation, what God is saying to you, how he's speaking to you, and the place he's about to take you, you ain't seen nothing yet. I promise you. Next year is going to be something. This presidential election is not going to turn out like we think it is. It's just going to be a whole lot. So when I talk about Genesis, I'm talking about how we start. It's going to be how we finish. We're going back to the paradise. So,
and you know what, ladies and gentlemen, look, we ain't here to scare the hell out of you.
Yes.
We're just trying to light fire under your butt so that you can get with the program. Okay? Get with the program. Turn everything off so that you can hear what God is specifically wants to share with you.
Yeah.
So if you, and you know, I'm serious. When you do that, when you finally get to that place, you say, okay, that's it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to have what's been promised in my heart, what's been resonating with me all these years, and whatever it takes, whatever's necessary, God. And you make that decision, just a little while. It won't even seem like it's
Twinkling of an eye.
Twinkling of an eye. If you do it, this is you, the Capricorn, do the work. Put in the work, put in the spiritual work, get with God and get that connection and allow him to address and reveal to you those areas of deficiency within your soul that requires repair, and let spirit repair you. I'm telling you, whatever it is that you need will find you, whatever it is. And Michelle, I didn't have no money. Okay. No money. Toe up from the flow up, okay? Sleeping on couches, going back and forth to my mama and my dad's house, staying in my room, living on my unemployment. But all the while, guess what I was doing? Getting tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. Feeding my soul, healing my trauma, addressing those issues, staying open.
We can't be afraid. We can't be afraid to see ourselves. Most of us look in the mirror and we look at our hair around, but we never look into our eyes to see what our soul is saying to us. And so our soul has been hijacked by all this other stuff. And we got to retrieve our soul.
Wait a minute. Say that again, girl, about looking in your eyes. I was muted, so that's why you didn't hear me. Say that again, Dr. Washington.
I say we always look in the mirror, but we never look into our eyes. We look around our hair, our makeup, our eyelashes, but every day you need to be looking into your soul. And as you begin to do that, God reveals something on a daily basis that you can deal with, and you can begin to find your authentic self. There is so much of you that has not been revealed, and it can't be revealed until you look into your soul, because your souls have been hijacked.
Yes.
And you can get it back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can.
But you got to do it. You have to do it. You can't wait for a prophet. Can't wait for a teacher. Can't wait for a preacher. You can't wait for your parents. This is a one-on-one thing. And you don't have to have anybody else there. It's just you and God.
It's a requirement. And that's why everything had to shut down. Because God said, you know what? It's time for a come to Jesus meeting. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Sit down. If you want what you say you want, then this is what's going to be required of you. Everybody, he gave everybody the opportunity. You got some of these people mad as all get out because this and that won't happen. We want to go back to, no, it ain't, it's a new day. Isaiah 43:19. That's the scripture for the year. He done a new thing and it's done. It's done, baby. It's done.
But the question is, should you not know it?
You didn't know it, did you? You didn't know it. You didn't know it. Me and my big mouth driving down the road with hot dog and Michelle coming up every morning trying to tell y'all and share y'all and help you expand your consciousness. We've been saying it all year. All year. He's doing a new thing, y'all. It's a new thing. March, I started in March. We sprung into action and started telling you because we were operating and being obedient to let you guys know. Oh, yeah, we've been saying it now.
Yeah.
So how many weeks we got before we cross over into 2021, girl?
No, we got about 39, 40 days, maybe a little less.
40 days, huh? Speaking of 40 days, girl, we did a recap for tonight. But when we come back in 2 weeks, because next week we're going to take a break. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Michelle and I are going to be with our families, and we're going to be being grateful and thankful that we made it through this phenomenal year of revelation that Spirit and Christ imparted to us. We're going to be with our families. So I put together a great recap, and I can give you all a teaser. We're going to be talking about Smyrna, because that was my favorite one. Even though I said I love what was it, Thyatira or whatever it was. But Smyrna, I was listening to all of them. I'm like, Smyrna's a good one. Smyrna's a good one. So we're going to be sharing with you the season one, where we were not streaming worldwide. We were just streaming on Facebook, and we talked about Revelation, and we talked about the Church of Smyrna. So next week, that's what you guys are going to be able to enjoy, those clips of the Church of Revelation, Smyrna. So after that, we'll be coming back. And girl, guess what? What are we going to be talking about, girl, when we come back?
The flood.
The flood. Noah.
Noah and the flood.
So if y'all thinking about going out and getting drunk, wait a minute. Come and join us, because we're going to be talking about a real drunk, Noah. But he heard from God.
Yeah, he was God said he was perfect.
He was perfect. But he had his misses. He had his misses. But he was the one that saved his whole family. So we're going to be talking about that. And then also we'll be having August Crenshaw stop by again to right before the summit. She'll be stopping by to share with us and give us a little taste of what's coming. So guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for sharing. I want to thank you for catching on the replay. Hello, social media world. My love, thank you so much. May you have a blessed, prosperous, abundant Thanksgiving, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
Namaste.
Namaste, my love. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So see you guys in 2 weeks. Let me put my glasses on because I can't see. I'm running over. Okay, here we go. Okay, so thank you guys. See you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for catching on the replay. And may you have a wonderful, blessed, safe Thanksgiving. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Stay in love, guys. Can't see. I'm running over. Okay, here we go. Okay, so thank you guys. See you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for catching on the replay. And may you have a wonderful, blessed, safe Thanksgiving. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. Stay in love, guys. Thank you for enjoying the show. If you have an awesome product or service that you would like Vanessa to promote, go to www.vanessaklinger.com/show sponsor, and we'll get back to you. We have monthly sponsorship programs, ad slots, all kinds of wonderful, great things to promote your product or service. Contact Vanessa today